My husband fell ill and had to be hospitalized. Our granddaughter Amy approached Ken, her grandfather, with a smile and took something out of the bag she was carrying.
Grandpa, get well soon.
There were 1,000 origami cranes.
Amy.
Ken received them with a surprised expression. After gazing at the cranes for a moment, as if he had realized something, he tore them apart. Hey, what are you doing? Don't trample on Amy's feelings. But Ken's eyes were cold.
Don't you understand this?
Huh? Prompted by Ken, I also took the cranes into my hand. Upon closer inspection, among the neatly folded cranes, there was a message written, "I want to go shopping with you again when you get better." This means... As I gazed at the message, recalling what happened just the other day.
I can't make origami.
Amy did say that. The warm atmosphere turned cold and heavy, and everyone fell silent. Tonight's dinner is fried chicken and roasted potatoes.
Oh, that sounds like it would go well with some drinks.
Please drink moderately. Casual exchanges between the couple that happen every evening. I, May Brown, have been married to my husband Ken for 35 years. Ken runs an architectural firm, and our life has been smooth sailing.
Dad, actually, I got some good liquor from a business associate today.
The one whispering to Ken is our second son, Louis, of the Brown family. Louis studied architecture overseas for a few years during his student days, but now he lives with us.
Well done, Louis. Let's have it right away.
Oh, Louis, don't spoil your father too much.
Of course, I know.
Louis was fascinated by the architectural structures Ken had worked on when he was a child, and he desperately continued his studies with the dream of becoming an architect. He successfully obtained the coveted first-class architect qualification. Not only was Louis dedicated to his studies, but he also had a strong charisma since his student days, being well liked by many. Ken admired Louis's diligence and charisma, which led him to decide that Louis would be his successor.
Louis has always been good at capturing people's hearts.
It's just natural for me.
As I smiled at Louis's shy demeanor while scratching his cheek, I suddenly glanced at my phone and saw a message notification. It was a message from our eldest son, Anthony, saying that he couldn't come home for a while because he couldn't take time off due to work. He must still be busy as usual. After studying for 4 years at university to become a qualified chiropractor, Anthony started living on his own immediately after graduating. At that time, when Louis hadn't yet been living with us, Anthony would always come back home without fail whenever he had a long holiday.
I'm coming home because I'm craving your cooking.
Watching Anthony happily devouring his meal upon returning home became one of my joys. We had been maintaining a good relationship, but a new breeze blew in the third spring after Anthony left home. It was during one of Anthony's usual visits home when I served him dinner.
Thanks for the meal.
Unusually, Anthony didn't ask for seconds and seemed to be finishing his meal. You usually eat more. Are you feeling unwell? Anthony seemed a little hesitant before speaking.
I fell for a girl I met at a mixer. I can't sleep at night because I keep thinking about her.
So, it's finally your turn to shine.
Ken, who had been listening to the conversation, happily exclaimed.
She's incredibly beautiful. And she gets the most attention from the guys, so I cannot lose.
You'll be fine, Anthony.
With sparkling eyes, Ken placed his hand on Anthony's shoulder and said confidently.
Thank you.
Encouraged by Ken, Anthony left home and a month later, he started dating Hannah. Their relationship went smoothly, and a year later, they decided to get married.
A wedding is a once-in-a-lifetime event, so I want to make it grand.
Along with the announcement of their marriage, Ken called me to consult. What kind of ceremony do you want?
Hannah wants to have the wedding in Rome.
Rome? I couldn't help but raise my voice at the unexpected answer.
When I mentioned that I don't like flying, she got really upset and insisted, then let's have it at the biggest venue in the country.
I see. I'll also talk to your dad about it. Later, when I told this to Ken, he said that they would be more than welcome to have the ceremony at a major domestic venue.
There will be a lot of expenses from now on, so I'll cover the venue cost at least.
And so, Anthony and Hannah's wedding was to be celebrated grandly. Just before the ceremony, we met Hannah for the first time. She was indeed stunningly beautiful, and her unwavering smile left a strong impression.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for covering the venue cost.
Hannah greeted us, starting off by saying that.
I'm glad to see you both so happy.
Take good care of Anthony, okay? Seeing Hannah brightly respond with yes, I thought that we would be able to build a good relationship. After the wedding went smoothly, Anthony and Hannah decided to build a house 30 minutes away from our home and start their new life. Initially, Anthony seemed to plan on returning home during every long weekend, just as he used to.
Hannah says she wants to relax at home during the long weekends and doesn't like going out.
I understood that they wanted to spend time together as newlyweds when Anthony conveyed this message to me. Around the same time, Louis returned home after obtaining his architect qualification abroad, so he started living with us again. A year later, when Anthony and Hannah had a baby girl, they visited our house for the first time.
She looks just like Hannah. She's adorable.
With a smile on their faces, Anthony and Hannah introduced their daughter, Amy, to us.
We've been so busy with work. Having you guys around is really reassuring.
We'll help as much as we can, so don't hesitate to ask if you need anything.
Louis nodded in agreement with our words.
Thank you. I'm embarrassed to admit, but I'm a bit of a neat freak, so I can't stay long at other people's houses, which is why we haven't visited much.
I see. We'd love to have you over occasionally, but we won't force you if it makes you uncomfortable.
Thank you.
After that, Hannah never visited our home, as she said, but we often received calls from Anthony.
Mom, I need your help.
Whenever Anthony started with this familiar phrase, we always welcomed it without hesitation. We refrained from interfering in their parenting, but we understood that Anthony and Hannah were busy. Spending time with Amy became our joy. Time flew by, and before we knew it, Amy had become a third grader, and she had grown quite fond of us. One day, instead of the busy Anthony and Hannah, we took Amy shopping. In a large shopping mall, Amy's eyes sparkled with interest as she looked at various items.
Grandpa, what's that?
With a friendly smile, she pointed at a balloon being sold by a girl.
Amy, that's a balloon.
Balloon?
Yes, it's filled with air, and if you don't hold onto it tightly, it will fly away into the sky.
Ken bought a balloon and handed it firmly to Amy's hand.
Wow! It's so light.
Ken couldn't help but smile affectionately at Amy's happy dancing.
Pretty amazing, huh?
Thank you, Grandpa.
After that, Ken continued to buy whatever caught Amy's interest, one after another. A few days after Amy left happily, we received another call from Anthony.
I'm going to be late again today.
We assured Anthony that there was no need to apologize. We had already found several places where Amy could play comfortably.
This park has a large playground, so there's plenty to do.
When Amy and everyone else arrived at the park, Louis proudly spread his arms wide.
Yay! I want to go on the swings.
Alright, then let's have a swing competition.
Louis also doted on Amy and played with her as if she were his own daughter. Since Amy liked to move around, she seemed to have plenty of fun even at the park. Every week, we spent time with Amy. It was on one such day that something unusual happened. Ken, usually healthy, seemed to be struggling with a persistent cough since the morning. Are you all right?
Just dry throat.
Ken said so, but despite drinking water and sucking a cough drop, the cough didn't seem to subside at all.
Dad, I'll take you to the hospital.
I'm fine.
Ken tried to brush it off, but his cough only worsened. And then, amidst violent coughing, he collapsed, spitting out blood. Ken.
Dad!
Louis rushed to Ken and desperately called out to him, but Ken seemed unconscious and didn't respond. In a panic, I called an ambulance, and Ken was rushed to the hospital, so Louis and I followed in a taxi. Upon reaching the hospital, Ken received immediate treatment and fortunately, it turned out that he didn't have a serious illness. He would be able to be discharged in a few days. However, Ken needed to rest for a while. After returning home once to gather the necessary items for his hospital stay, I informed Anthony as well. They said it was due to the change in seasons, but please don't overdo it, I said, holding Ken's hand, tears welling up in my eyes.
Yeah, I'll be careful.
Dad, you'll get better soon for sure.
Relieved that Ken could respond properly, we decided to return home. A few days later, while we were chatting with Ken, Amy arrived with Anthony to visit.
Dad, how are you feeling?
Sorry for causing trouble even when you're busy.
I'm relieved to see you looking better than I expected.
As Anthony and Ken chatted in a relaxed atmosphere, Amy remained unusually silent.
Amy, say hello to Grandpa.
Amy, who usually greeted us with a smile as soon as she saw us, had a stiff expression even when prompted by Anthony. Thinking she might be nervous because it was her first time in a hospital, I tried to cheer her up. Amy, you look lovely in your outfit today too, I said brightly. The clothes Amy wore were the ones we gave her as a Christmas present before.
Thank you.
Perhaps being complimented on her clothes helped distract her a bit, as her stiff expression finally faded. Then, Amy smiled slightly, approached Ken, and took something out of the bag she was carrying.
Grandpa, get well soon.
It was 1,000 paper cranes.
Amy.
Ken received it with a surprised expression, and as he gazed at the paper cranes, he seemed to realize something and tore them apart. Hey, what are you doing? Don't trample on Amy's feelings like that. But Ken's eyes were cold.
Don't you get it?
Huh? Prompted by Ken, I also took a crane in my hand. Upon closer inspection, beautifully folded cranes had a message expressing a desire to go shopping again with Ken once he got better. Is this?
Yeah. Amy didn't write it.
The warm atmosphere suddenly changed to a cold and heavy one. Everyone fell silent. As I stared blankly at the message, I recalled something that had happened just recently. On a day when the news reported a record-breaking cold, I received a call from Anthony as usual.
I'm sorry. Amy has a fever, and neither Hannah nor I can come home right away.
Oh my God. Let's go pick her up from the nursery right away.
Amy, whose cold had worsened, was left in our care, and she was bedridden for a while. I hope you get well soon. While taking care of meals and changing clothes, I folded cranes in my spare time. With care, Amy, who had been in a daze for a while, gradually recovered.
Grandma.
Amy. Finally able to speak, Amy blinked a few times and then looked at the 1,000 paper cranes I had made.
What's that?
This is called 1,000 paper cranes. It's a wish for you to get better from your illness.
Wow. I can't do origami.
Oh, is that so? Let's do it together when you're feeling better.
Yeah. Thank you, Grandma.
Amy did say that. It's still quite recent since that day, and it was just last week when her fever went down enough for her to move around. Even if she had learned to fold them since then, the cranes I have now are much better crafted than the ones I made. Not only that, the handwriting of the message, while similar at first glance, subtly differs from the ones in the secret letters I occasionally receive from Amy.
Amy, I won't get mad. I just want to know. Who prepared these?
Despite Ken's inquiry, Amy just bit her lip tightly and shook her head.
Amy?
No matter how much we asked, Amy didn't seem willing to answer, so Ken let out a light sigh and turned to Anthony.
Anthony, all receipts for items given to Amy are kept at home.
Huh? What's going on all of a sudden?
Anthony, still clueless, looked at Ken with a puzzled expression.
Go back home and look for the items in the receipts. If they're not there, check the security camera footage.
Huh?
In fact, we had been noticing something off about Amy's behavior for a few months. She used to be curious about new discoveries and would play wholeheartedly in the park, but gradually her attitude began to change. On that day, the weather was lovely, and we were planning to take Amy to the park as usual.
Grandpa. It's boring.
Since Amy had never shown disinterest in going to the park before, we were quite surprised.
Amy, are you feeling unwell?
No. I just want a new toy.
What about the kitchen play set we got you last time?
It's boring.
Considering that Amy had never been demanding or complained before, we initially thought there might be something seriously bothering her.
I see. Amy is growing up. Maybe it's not suitable for her age anymore.
With a somewhat indulgent expression towards his first granddaughter's whims, Ken decided to buy her a new toy that time. However, as time went on, Amy started complaining more and more.
Grandpa, I already beat the game you bought me the other day.
Really? You beat it already? It's only been a week.
Aren't you playing too much?
While we usually didn't interfere with Anthony and Hannah's parenting decisions, we couldn't help but have some doubts.
Was the game really that interesting?
Yeah.
I see. Then why don't you choose something you want, Amy?
Ken, who was indulgent towards Amy, decided to buy her a new game at that time as well, in accordance with her wishes. However, the games Amy requested were either not suitable for her age or were expensive limited editions.
Amy, how was the game we got you last time?
With a serious expression, Amy slowly shook her head.
What's wrong? This isn't like you, Amy.
I want that one next.
Huh?
Ignoring Ken's words, Amy made another request.
There must be something you found enjoyable, right?
However, Amy remained silent and only nodded slightly.
If you can't give feedback, then we can't buy you a new game.
It was fun.
Ken sighed as Amy hastily tried to cover up.
Can you promise not to play too much, Amy?
Yeah, I promise.
While Ken continued to buy Amy new games, he also became suspicious of her attitude and started keeping the receipts. Even beyond games, Amy began to ask for toys and clothes, but she hardly ever gave feedback. Ken didn't want to see Amy sad, but he also didn't want her to grow up spoiled, so he gradually reduced the frequency of buying things for her. After I handed the stack of receipts to Anthony, an unexpected turn of events awaited us.
Mom, Dad. I've never seen any of these before.
It was the day Ken was safely discharged from the hospital, and as soon as Anthony, accompanied by Amy, arrived at our house, he said that right away.
Just as I suspected.
But that's not all.
Anthony glanced briefly at Amy, then fell silent.
Amy, want to play with Uncle Louis?
Seeing Anthony's reaction, Louis quickly took the initiative and led Amy out of the room. Anthony took out his smartphone and showed us a video he had recorded from the security camera footage.
Understand, Amy? Be cute and ask Grandpa nicely, okay?
Yes.
There was a voice in the video where Hannah instructed Amy to beg for expensive items.
What is this?
Ken couldn't hide his shock, but the video had more to reveal.
You can't play with all these things by yourself even if you get them all.
These are important things I got for my birthday.
Shut up. Your things are mine. I won't let you have all the good stuff.
The video also captured Hannah taking away items that Amy had been given, and even showed her shouting at Amy when she hesitated.
I'm taking care of you, so be grateful.
She forcefully took away the clothes Amy was holding.
I didn't get anything today.
Huh. It's your fault if I can't have fun.
I'm sorry.
No dinner tonight for you.
Without a glance at Amy's tearful apology, Hannah left the scene. The video continued, but I couldn't bear to watch any further. This is terrible. How could she say such things to her own daughter?
It seems like a lot of this happened while I was away at work. I didn't notice. I'm a failure as a father.
Anthony's words were accompanied by shaking shoulders and tears streaming down his face, expressing both regret and anger.
There might be other things she's hiding.
Yeah. I'm planning to hire a detective.
Afterward, it seems Anthony did indeed hire a detective. The investigation revealed that Hannah had been having an affair. Furthermore, it was discovered that she had been selling items she had persuaded us to buy through Amy, using the money to have fun with her lover.
I want to have a serious talk with Hannah. I'll ask Louis to take care of Amy, and I want you guys to be there too.
With a determined expression, Anthony came to us, and Louis responded with a serious face.
Leave Amy to me.
Of course. We have plenty to say to Hannah as well.
Thank you.
Later, Anthony entrusted Amy to Louis and brought Hannah to us.
I'm busy with work tomorrow, so please make it brief.
Anthony broached the main topic with Hannah, who maintained a confident and assertive demeanor with a cold attitude.
Hannah, you've been hiding something.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Crossing her arms, Hannah raised her eyebrows.
We all know you've been cheating.
When did I ever cheat?
Despite her denial, Anthony showed her surveillance footage and photos obtained from detective investigation.
This is irrefutable evidence.
When did you?
Momentarily shaken by the evidence presented, Hannah attempted to defend herself.
Are you accusing your wife? In this day and age, anyone can fabricate such things.
In response to her desperate excuses, Anthony laid out more evidence one after another.
I'm not so idle as to fabricate such a large amount of evidence. Isn't it time you confessed?
There was an overwhelming amount of evidence spread out on the table. Hannah, glaring at the evidence resentfully, finally spoke with resignation.
I thought I could live a luxurious life by marrying the eldest son of a big construction company.
Hannah confessed, letting out her true feelings.
But once we were married, it turned out Louis was the heir.
I made it clear from the beginning that I wasn't going into the family business, so it's unfair to expect that from me.
That's not the only thing. Even though Anthony's family has prime real estate, I can't live there because of Louis.
During her relationship with Anthony, Louis had been abroad, so Hannah had assumed she would be able to live in the Brown family's ancestral home after marriage. Frustrated with her thwarted plans, she muttered complaints under her breath, leaving us speechless.
It's thanks to Mom, Dad, and Louis supporting my dream that I could move out and pursue what I wanted.
Anthony doesn't earn enough money.
With a fierce glare at Anthony, Hannah's voice grew more agitated.
Amy received plenty of pocket money and toys. I couldn't stand her having a better life than me.
She not only took away the allowance we were giving Amy, but also used the money from selling toys to entertain her younger lover.
I thought I could live a comfortable life. But I felt so miserable, and my frustration exploded.
Hannah's words made it seem as if Anthony was the villain, prompting him to let out a heavy sigh.
You're too extravagant. If you didn't waste money, we'd have more than enough to live comfortably.
I wanted our wedding in Rome, not in that rundown place. I still can't forgive that.
Run down. It was the biggest venue in America.
We realized from her words that Hannah had been after his money from the start. Ken furrowed his brow, visibly distressed.
I couldn't bear it anymore. Lately, even the toys Amy gets have been decreasing.
It's obvious it wasn't for Amy, and I'm not foolish enough to keep indulging.
Ken clenched his fists tightly, trying to contain his anger towards Hannah, who was willing to splurge even at the expense of her own child.
I had no choice, so I decided to please my father-in-law by having Amy make origami cranes, but that ended up being a failure.
Cut the crap. My father is not your wallet.
Anthony stood up, glaring fiercely at Hannah.
What you did was incredibly selfish.
Hannah, rarely confronted with such anger from Anthony, looked frightened.
I can't take it anymore. I want a divorce.
With Anthony's momentum seeming to almost grab Hannah, I realized it was getting out of hand. I instinctively spoke up. What Hannah did is unforgivable.
Exactly.
Anthony, I understand how you feel. But I gestured for Anthony to sit down and continued speaking. Even if our connection with you ends, you're still Amy's only mother. I addressed Hannah, trying to reason with her. Even though Amy must have felt hurt being yelled at and having things taken away, she never mentioned your name. Perhaps Anthony's angry outburst had an effect, as Hannah seemed to awaken, listening attentively to my words. Please think about Amy's feelings.
Yes.
Amy must have felt lonely seeing her mother, who usually goes out with her lover. She probably endured Hannah's demands and sought validation, leading to the escalation of her actions. I refrained from explicitly stating that I wanted Hannah, as a mother, to understand Amy's true feelings. However, seeing Hannah's honest attitude, I decided to express something I had been hesitant to say. There's something I want to tell both of you, Hannah and Anthony.
What is it?
Regarding the origami cranes and the messages inside, we realized that they weren't from Amy.
I couldn't tell just by looking at them.
Anthony scratched his head, looking apologetic. In fact, Amy used to send us letters quite often, I said as I spread out the letters she had given us on the table.
When I grow up, I want to marry Grandpa.
I pointed to one of the letters.
I want to play with balloons and fly in the sky.
From Amy's letters, it was evident that she felt lonely due to her parents' frequent absence.
Amy. I'm sorry. I was too absorbed in my work.
I'm truly sorry too.
Seeing them both apologize so sincerely, as if Amy were here with us, I felt hopeful that they had truly reflected on their actions. As the conversation came to an end, Hannah left our house quietly, like a borrowed cat returning home. Several weeks later, Anthony and Hannah's divorce was finalized. We decided not to seek any compensation from Hannah, on the condition that she remained a good mother to Amy.
Apparently, she finally found a job, despite complaining about low wages.
Anthony informed us a month after his divorce from Hannah. Hannah had claimed to have switched from a full-time position to part-time after marriage, but it turned out she had already quit her previous job. So, she had been lying to Anthony and us about being busy with work. It seemed that she had been unsuccessful in job interviews, likely due to her lack of genuine work experience since getting married.
Well, if she's starting to understand the struggles of working, I guess that's a silver lining.
His words warmed my heart, as they reflected the hardships he endured to achieve his dreams.
I want to spend more time talking to Amy.
Since things are going to be tougher than before, why not move closer to our house?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Anthony agreed, quickly arranging to move to a place near our house. After Anthony and Hannah completed their move, we received a letter from Hannah.
I'm having trouble learning my new job, and I get scolded every day. But I won't give up on becoming a good mother.
It sounds like she's going through a tough time.
That's just part of being an adult.
Ken's words showed his support and expectations for Hannah.
When I save up some money, I want to buy a toy for Amy.
The letter concluded with Hannah's strong determination. I hope she works hard and changes for the better. My husband nodded strongly in agreement. Since the move, Amy has been coming to our house to play more frequently. With less travel time than before, we find it easier to support Anthony and Amy, and their lives seem more stable. However, I'm concerned about the occasional lonely expression on Amy's face. It's unavoidable, but Amy must feel lonely without her mother suddenly gone, right? I spoke to Anthony while watching Amy play with Ken and Lewis.
Yeah. She sometimes murmurs, "Mom," in her sleep, so I feel guilty about it.
We'll support her as much as we can, so don't hesitate to ask for anything. Seeing me determined to live a long life, Anthony smiles.
Mom, thank you as always. Please stay healthy from now on.
Though I didn't say it aloud, I hope for the day when Hannah, having had a change of heart, can come to visit Amy.